Hello, week 3. We did it, you and I. We did it. We're on week 3. It's been more than a week. So, yeah, I'm frustrated with myself. If I'm honest, I am. I was really sick for about a week and a half, so I didn't contribute to this at all. But even before this, on the weeks prior, you know what? I just didn't really make this a priority, maybe. I felt stuck a lot, and instead of moving on, I found excuses to hold myself back. And week 3 kind of calls out a lot of this stuff I've been doing. And it's difficult to read that sometimes. There's a lot of resistance. And in the beginning of the book, it definitely talks about how where you feel resistance, that's where you need to go. And it's really important to pay attention to where you are feeling that resistance. So, yeah, I'm feeling better now. Just recently recovered. I'm still kind of foggy and having a hard time articulating things, but I feel a lot better. And I'm happy and excited to be back into the book and moving forward. So, as I mentioned, week 3 is recovering a sense of power. Yeah, there was a lot of resistance this week. Again, I think it was a very important week. But overall, I just need to take a moment, I think, and just ask myself, how am I feeling about this journey so far? And I'm really frustrated with myself and kind of angry. This week talks about anger, so maybe, I mean, it's super convenient. But I'm just annoyed that, okay, I started this 2 months ago, and I'm only on week 3. I should be halfway through the program. I should be halfway to success, halfway to my stardom. I get so caught up with time. Worried I'm gonna run out of time. Worried I'm not gonna take the chances I need to take now, and it's gonna come to the point that it's too late to do the things I want to do. I guess I'm scared. I'm scared I'm not gonna be able to achieve the things I want to achieve in life. And that makes me hesitant. And maybe that also contributes to that perfectionism. I feel like it has to be perfect the first time. I don't have time to start over again. I need to get it right. If I don't get it right, I might not have time to ever get it right. And I'll never get to do the things I want to in life, or never get to experience the things I want to in life, or achieve the things I want to. My life was wasted, basically, is how I feel when I look down the line. When I imagine that scenario playing out, my life, at the end, I feel just my life is wasted. There was no point in any of this. And it's wasted for what? To maintain the comfort of other people? To protect other people's insecurities? To protect other people's egos? So that's what I've been thinking about a lot. Because I'm frustrated with myself that I'm 2 months in, and I'm only on week 3. And it's bringing up these thoughts that have held me back a lot. And I'm worried that I'm going to get through this 12 weeks and feel like I haven't scraped away at everything and I need to start over. I need to do it again. And for some reason that feels like it's not okay because I'm not going to have time. So I'm frustrated with myself. Because I also know I shouldn't have these thoughts. I also know thinking about this stuff, thinking about it in this way is not productive. And a lot of it's not true. I have time. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's okay to fail. And what even is failing? Who determines if I fail? If I don't succeed by society's standards, then that means I failed. But what if I still learn something? Is that then a failure? Who decides if I fail? Right? I mean, so it's just like this cycle of frustration and anger for myself, with myself. Maybe pity. Maybe I'm pitying myself. God. So yeah, this week was rough. It had a lot of good information, but internally, and maybe it's because maybe it was the illness that's contributing to this. I mean, that did put me back a week and a half, but I don't know. So recovering a sense of power. Recovering a sense of power. I've always felt like I lacked power, or I had to present myself. I had to present myself in a way that would make other people feel like I did not have power. Or, yeah, I just had to shrink myself a lot. And I do it still sometimes. So maybe that's also why this week was triggering. Recovering a sense of power makes me uncomfortable. The thought of that makes me uncomfortable. You know, like standing in my own, taking up space, saying what I mean. All of that makes me uncomfortable. Believing in myself, believing I'm capable, believing I'm meant for something good or better, knowing my worth, all of that makes me uncomfortable. Asserting myself, making choices for myself, and communicating those choices. Having my own power makes me uncomfortable. So that's a lot. It's kind of a lot to drop on you there all of a sudden. I did want to talk a bit about some of the specifics it gets into. It does talk a lot about, or not a lot, but it talks a little bit about anger and how, you know, anger can be a superpower. It can be something telling us, it's kind of like a secondary emotion. It tells us that there's something underneath that we need to address. I liked this part. It says, so anger, it tells us we can't get away with our old life any longer. It tells us that our old life is dying. It tells us we are being reborn. And birthing hurts. I did like that. Anger propels us into our new life. It says that anger is our friend. I think this needs to be interpreted carefully. But I'll just keep reading the parts I like. It says anger is our friend. Not a gentle friend, not a nice friend, but a very, very loyal friend. It will always tell us when we have been betrayed. It will always tell us when we have betrayed ourselves. It will always tell us that it is time to act in our own best interests. Anger is not the action itself, it's action's invitation. its actions invitation. Yeah, anger gets us moving. We get fed up with our current life. We feel angry. It also talks a lot about success and how a lot of us just have a fear of success, actually. We're worried, what if things do work out? What happens then? What if we do get everything we ask for? We're scared to even ask because what if it comes true? What if we're granted what we ask for? And that's true for me. I feel that. I feel that a lot. That is terrifying to me. It talks a lot about how we have helping hands, unseen helping hands, and it's difficult for us to admit that there are forces that we don't understand and that are beyond us that are helping us. It says, we say we are scared of failure, but what frightens us more is the possibility of success. Here, I like this. It says, possibility is far more frightening than impossibility. That freedom is far more terrifying than any prison. If we do, in fact, have to deal with a force beyond ourselves that involves itself in our lives, then we may have to move into action on those previously impossible dreams. It talks about committing to our soul. I really like that. This week also talked a lot about shame. And that is something I've experienced a lot, so relatable. It talks about how art brings things to life. It sheds a light on our lingering darkness. It casts a beam into the heart of our own darkness and says, see? And it does. And it also talks about how that fear of being shamed prevents us from making art. We often worry, what's my family gonna think? What are my neighbors gonna think? My friends. All of these people, we have these people picked out in our head, and we wonder, what are they gonna think if I make this? It says, art opens the closets, airs out the cellars and attics. It brings healing. But before a wound can heal, it must be seen. Yeah. If a child has ever been made to feel foolish for believing himself or herself talented, the act of actually finishing a piece of art will be fraught with internal shaming. Yes. See, I think this also contributes to me finishing this book. Me finishing the 12-week program. Because what if it does work out? What if I do find success? Deep down, I know, in my soul, I feel it, that I'm meant for something great. I know I am. And what if this is all I need to launch me into whatever that's supposed to be? What if I finish this and I find success? Then there's that responsibility. And I don't know if I'm ready for that. I'm also worried. I put in all this effort, I put in all this work. What are people gonna think? I've been made to feel foolish before for working on projects, for putting myself out there, for trying things. And I was shamed for it. And it's embarrassing. So if I just don't finish the project, I don't finish the book, then I won't have to deal with that. I won't have to deal with the responsibility of success. I won't have to deal with the shaming from people in my life. Here it talks about how many artists will be working on something and they suddenly feel like it's no longer worth the trouble to continue working on it. Excuse me. And it says this sudden urge of disinterest is actually a coping mechanism. It's employed to deny pain and ward off vulnerability. Yeah. Been there. So then it just talks about how, as artists, we really need to learn to be very self protective, create our own safe environments, be aware of who we share things with and at what point in our journey. And then also learning how to differentiate between constructive criticism and things that are not constructive. It talks about how we have to just be very firm with ourselves and not pick up that first doubt when we do start feeling unsure of ourselves. Some of the tasks, so a lot of the tasks this week focused on calling out some of the self sabotage that we have. And I realized there are things that I do in my life that prevent me from becoming my best self. There are habits I make excuses for to not do, and that prevents me from being my best self. And I'm realizing it is a form of self sabotage. Because if I am my best self and I feel good and I'm able to pursue these interests I have, then I might succeed. And then I'm going to have that responsibility. And then I'm going to have the shaming. And it's going to make people feel a certain way. And there's a lot of contradictions, I know. So it's a lot. There's a lot there. I'm still kind of working through everything I'm feeling. I'm going to do some more writing pertaining to week 3. And then I'm going to move on to week 4. I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm going to keep moving forward. And I hope you do too. If you're working through this, I hope you keep moving forward. And we can do it. Everything will make sense someday. It all makes sense. Anyway, I will see you next week.